I'll work it out. All right. Have you all enjoyed Pastor's series, Giving God's Way? Yes, I know that I have. And y'all have to bear with me because, see, Pastor, he's got this, iPad thing working good. So I'm trying to work it and hold this at the same time. So y'all might have to bear with me a little bit. But I have certainly enjoyed Pastor's teaching series on giving God's way. Giving God's way. It has been a blessing to me, and I know it's been a blessing to you. And I also do not want to forget, we want to welcome our TV audience. Come on, New Birth. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Woo! Absolutely. And as Pastor Mike always says, call your family, call your friends. Tell them Lady One is on the air. All right. Now, over the past few weeks, you've heard wonderful teaching about why to give and the benefits that you receive when you give. But some of you may have been saying to yourself, you may be asking yourself that question of how. Because how can I tithe when I'm so stressed out that I'm just barely putting food on the table? Or I've got too much going on and I can't give. Anybody been there? It's like, how? You don't really have to raise your hand, but you want to give, but you're just saying, I don't know how I can do that because I've just got so much. Or maybe I've gotten laid off or I've got all these doctor bills where I've been ill and I just can't afford to do that. Well, I'm going to talk about today the hows. That's what I'm going to talk about is the hows. All right. Anybody remember this commercial? And if they could go ahead and put that up there, the commercial.
I'm Stanley Johnson. I've got a great family. I've got a 4-bedroom house in a great community. Like my car? It's new. I even belong to the local golf club. How do I do it? I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. I can barely pay my finance charges. Somebody help me.
Need a smart way to consolidate?
Anybody been there? You've got all these things. Thank you very much. You've got all these things going on. You've got, you're trying to live up with your neighbors, and they've got new cars, and you got to get a new car, and you want a membership to the Y and all that, and it just begins to add up. And the next thing you know, you're over your head. You're over your head. So what I'm going to talk about today is the ABCs of Christian financial planning. The ABCs of Christian financial planning. And if you could turn to Proverbs 15 and 22. Proverbs 15 and 22. And many of you have heard Pastor and I's story about how when we were first married, how we didn't have anything, and we had our 1-bedroom apartment, and we had our Gremlin car that y'all have heard about that really was just a motor going down the street, and with the hole in the floor, and how we only had $10 to last us through the whole week. And we ate beans, and how we had to catch the bus, and how we didn't have a phone the first 2 years that we were married. And so you've heard those stories, but there were some things that he and I began to do that we didn't realize that were good things that we were doing. And so I just want to share some of those things with you so that it will help you. Proverbs 15 and 22 reads, and let's read that together. It says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. Plans fail for lack of counsel, or if you're like Pastor, since he's from Tennessee, he says cancel. I know. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And I love it in the contemporary English version. It reads, without good advice, everything goes wrong. It takes careful planning for things to go right. Without good advice, everything goes wrong. If you just kind of jump out there and do things, it's going to go wrong. It takes careful planning for things to go right. Now, 4 times in the book of Proverbs, it lists the importance of getting advice on your plans. Of course, in this scripture, 15 and 22, 11 and 14, 20 and 18, and 24 and 6. But the scripture means exactly what it says, is that if you want your plans to go right, then you need to listen to someone who's been there. You need to listen to someone who says, I've done that, I've been where you are, and I can tell you about it. Pastor and I have been there, so we can tell you about it, okay? We've made bad decisions, we've charged up credit cards and had a tough time paying them off, and we've had the bad credit. We have been there, okay? We worked our way out of it. We did. So thank God for that. So I don't want you to think that I'm standing up here and, I've made all the best decisions. I have not always. We have not always. But we learned from our mistakes. And so that's what we want to share with you. I love this scripture. I found it. It's Proverbs 17 and 16. It says, of what use is money in the hand of a fool, since he has no desire to get wisdom? Why do you need money for if you're just going to blow it? If somebody tells you you need to save a little bit of that money, and I deserve it. I worked hard for my money. How many times have Pastor and I, many years ago, we talked to a couple, and the wife were having some troubles, and she was like, he won't pay any of the bills. And he was working, but she was trying to pay all the bills out of her income. And we were like, okay, so, Mr. Man, how come you're not paying me bills? And he was like, well, I work hard. I just want to keep my money in my pocket. What the? You don't think she wants to keep her money too? So we have this crazy thing about money, what we should do with it. So, but of what use of money is what use is money in the hand of a fool, since he has no desire to get wisdom? I love that. But it takes planning for you to get out of overwhelming debt. What are you to do? First, you have to know that everything belongs to God. Everything belongs to God. Hebrews 2 and 10 reads it like this in the contemporary English version. It says, everything belongs to God, and things were created by his power. New Birth, we are the managers of the assets, the monies that God has entrusted to us. We are to manage what God has given us. He doesn't give us money just to blow it, just to do whatever we want to do with. We are to manage that money. As a matter of fact, that's one of the first commandments that God gave Adam and Eve in the garden, to manage. In Genesis 1:28, it says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on the ground. We are to manage what God has entrusted to us. So that takes us back to our original question. How? How am I to do this? The first A in the ABCs of Christian financial planning is analyze. Write that down. Analyze. You have to know what you're working with. You can't fix it until you look at it. Turn to Proverbs 24:27. Proverbs 24:27. It says, finish your outdoor work and get your fields ready, and after that, build your house. Now, what that is saying is in ancient Israel, a male suitor, he had to be able to, for lack of a better word, purchase his bride by giving her a lot of gifts. And so what this is saying is that he had to already have a considerable amount of wealth before he marries this woman and before he begins to try to start a family. So the scripture is telling you that you have to be able to provide for your wife before you get her pregnant and build a family. But see, we got it backwards. We have the children first. And I'm not dogging on anybody, please, no. We have our children first. Then we decide we might want to live together because we got to try it out. Make sure it works first. Got to try it out. Then we try to build that marriage. It's all backwards. And then we wonder why it doesn't work. We wonder why it doesn't work. But the scripture is telling you, build your wealth first, or at least attempt to try and build it, okay? When I married Pastor, because y'all probably saying, well, you marry him and he didn't have nothing. I know. But he was trying to get something. How about that, okay? Okay, he was at least working toward something. He had goals. He had vision, because I heard about it all the time. He would talk me to sleep and be like, okay, I get it. I really do. All right. But he was trying to do something, okay? So try to build your wealth first before you do that. That's what the scripture is saying. But you've got to analyze your money, people of God. You have to know how many bills that you have. It does no good to just stick a bill in the drawer and don't look at it and think it's going to go away. It's not, I promise you it won't. They're going to call you and say, where's my money? I was listening to Tom Joyner one morning, and there was one of those comedians on, I think some more or somebody like that, and she was saying that when she gets bills in the mail, she just turns them over and writes on the back, I know, and sends them back. Like, you ain't got to tell me, I already know I owe the money. How many have been there? Yes, yes. But that does you no good. You can't say, well, I'm going to go and buy me a new car. And you haven't checked out the interest rate. What is your credit rating? Because see, if you don't have a good credit rating, then you're going to pay a higher interest rate, which means that your payments are going to be higher. Have you checked into that? You can't just say, I'm going to buy a house, and your credit is messed up, and you don't know where you want to live, and you don't know how much of a house, a mortgage payment you can afford. You're just going to jump out there. So you need wise counsel, okay? Proverbs 27:23 says, be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. That is speaking to the shepherds. That was their income. That was their job. That's what they did. They had to know the condition of their flocks and give careful attention to their herds. Now, Pastor and I, we had some work done in our backyard, and so we've got all these big patches of dirt in the backyard. And so y'all know me. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to fix this because I can't stand all this dirt out here. And so I thought about getting some sod, but we thought, okay, that's going to be too much. So I'll just put down some seed. So I told Pastor one morning, I said, well, I'm just going to go out here and put this grass seed down. And he's just, sitting in the family room just looking at me. And so I get out there, and he goes, you just can't put those seeds down. You got to till the ground up a little bit before you put the seed. Okay, no big deal. So, so I'm out there, so I'm getting a rake. And so, I'm chopping, I'm kind of getting the dirt up, and then I kind of look around, and I see all the dirt that I need to get. I was like, okay. So I'm started chopping again. So then finally I go, this is just way too much. I cannot do this. So I go in the house, and I go, it's just too much. So he goes, well, you need a tiller. It's like, why didn't you tell me that before? Okay. So I go, okay, no problem, we don't have a tiller. I was like, well, I'll just go rent one from Home Depot. And he's like, you can't just rent a tiller from Home Depot. He's like, where are you going to put it? And I was like, I'm going to put it in the car. He was like, oh, no, you're not. You're not putting the tiller in the car. It's not going to fit, and they're dirty, and you're going to dirty up the car, and you don't wash the cars, and I'll wash the cars. It's like, okay. So by this time, I'm looking at him, rolling my eyes, because I got an attitude, because I didn't analyze, and I didn't plan of what all I needed to do to get the C's down. Now, we did get a tiller, and I was going to do it, but somebody said, well, let me just show you how it works. And then they end up tilling the whole thing. So, hey, works for me. I got the seeds down. Okay? But you have to look at your finances and say, what do you need to analyze? You need to analyze your home. Okay? If you own a home, what is the interest rate on your home? How long is it going to take you to pay it off? If you make an extra payment every year, what would that do? Can you refinance for a lower interest rate? Because right now, interest rates are at record lows. You can get a better interest rate, save some money. Your credit cards, because I know we all got them. What is the interest rate on your credit cards? Do you know with department store credit cards, the interest rate sometimes will run 27%? That is crazy. That's like saying for every dollar that you spend, they're charging you 30 cents for every dollar. If you miss a payment, does your interest rate go up? For how long? You need to look at those things. Are you paying any penalties for late payments? Now, if you have a credit cards, it should show on your statement if you pay. There's two things it'll say. If you pay your bill off, just paying the minimum, how long it'll take you to pay it off. And most of the times it might say anywhere from 11 to 30 years. And it'll say how much extra you're going to pay. Or it'll say if you pay it off within 3 years and pay a little bit more, this is how much you will pay. Pay attention to those things, guys. Open up your bill and look at it. And don't just say, oh, I owe $3,000 and all I got to pay is $10 a month. You're going to be paying $10 a month for 40 years. And you're going to end up paying about $11,000 for that $4,000. How much do you owe on your car? When will it be paid in full? Then when it's paid in full, what are you going to do with that extra money? Are you just going to blow it, or are you going to say, let me put that extra money on another bill? You need to identify where all of your expenses are going, including the cash you take out of the ATM, including the McDonald's, including the Starbucks. Yeah. Where is every penny going? You can't know where you're going until you got to look at where all your money is going, okay? Do you have outstanding doctor's bills that you need to call and make payment arrangements? I know I'm digging in all your stuff because I've been there. Have you called to make payment arrangement on overdue bills? See, again, what we like to do is we just think out of sight, out of mind, I'm not going to deal with it. But the more you don't deal with it, the worse that it gets. And lastly, you need to determine your net worth. How much are you worth? And what you do is you take all of your assets, that's everything that you own outright, maybe a car, jewelry, furniture, things like that. Anything that you own outright, those are your assets, minus your liabilities. Those are things that you owe, your house. Maybe you still owe on your car, credit card bills, things like that. Take your assets minus your liabilities, that's your net worth. You need to know what your net worth is. Are you worth more dead than alive? I don't know. Okay? Know your net worth. Now, once you analyze and determine your net worth, then you can move on to the next step, which is the B word, budget. Ooh, oh. The B and the ABCs of Christian financial planning is budget. Somebody say budget. Yeah, now I know when you hear the word budget, it makes you cringe, and all you can think about is what you can't spend. That's what you think about when you think of budget. Well, I got a budget, that means I can't spend no money. Think of it, instead of a budget, think of it as a spending plan. Okay? You're telling your money how it will be spent. Okay? Think of it as a spending plan. A budget is a spending plan. It's your best estimate of resources, of your resources, your time, talents, and money that you are likely to need during a specific time period to accomplish specific goals. And I'm going to say that again. It's your best estimate of your resources, your time, your talent, your money that you are likely to need during a specific time period to accomplish specific goals. John Maxwell, whom I love, says that a budget is telling your money where you want it to go instead of wondering where it went. Because most of the time we just wonder, where did our money go? I got paid on Friday. I was looking forward to Friday because I knew I was going to get that money. And on Monday, it's like, where did it go? Turn to Luke 14 and 28. Luke 14 and 28. So we're not going to think of it as a budget. We're going to think of it as a spending plan. This is how you are going to spend your money. Everybody have Luke 14, 28? I will read. It says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? It goes on to say, for if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. I love it in the Message Bible. It reads like this. Is there anyone here who planning to build a new house doesn't first sit down and figure the cost so you know if you can complete it? If you only get the foundation laid and then run out of money, you're going to look pretty foolish. Everyone passing by will poke fun at you. He started something he couldn't finish. You don't want to start something that you can't finish. You need a budget. You need a spending plan so you will know how you are spending your money and where it is going. This will help you when you say, I can't pay my tithes because I don't know where all my money's going. This will help you because when you're developing your spending plan, somebody say that with me, spending plan, okay? When you are developing your spending plan, that'll be one of the first things that you're going to have up at the top, tithes and offerings, all right? And you already heard the benefits of giving your tithes and offerings, all right? So when developing your spending plan, you need to do the following. You need to make your plan flexible. It's got to be flexible. It can't be so stringent that when an emergency or issue happens, it's not a matter of if something happens, it's when something happens, that you can kind of flow with that a little bit. You can't say, no, everything's got to go A, B, C, D. You got to have a little flexibility so that when you need to purchase those new tires, as Minister Corden was talking about this morning.
We are the future. the pace is what we stand for. Shouting so loud that you can't ignore. Living the good life that God has in store. Cause his love keeps on coming back for more and more. Tried as the group of soon to be leaders. Do it the right way, there's no time for cheese. Chasing this world from shore to shore. And we know that it's gonna be war. We got our swords up, swords up. We ready for this battle. We pray, we fast, we read. With this the devil cannot rattle. For with God we cannot lose. We will go undefeated. Shout his name in victory and say that we are now completed. Yeah.
Step by step we hasten to his home. Try not to always break my purpose cause I want it all. Spotlights on us for staying on the wall. We wanna change the world, change the world. We wanna change the world, the world, the world.
Well, this is all the time we have today to show of this particular program. But I'd love for you to come and visit with me on a Sunday morning where you can see the sights and sounds of New Birth Worship. And don't forget to stop by, visit the website, check out the latest events and things happening right here at our church. Well, same time, same place, next week. Tune in. I'll be back. And you be safe. God bless you.